Okay. All right. Are you guys able to? Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen? All right. So now we all know what is Salesforce, and we have been talking about like why do we need the development, standard objects, custom objects, and all the variable declarations. Now we know what is variable, how to declare the variable, how to initialize the variable, and what is apex, what are the highlights of the apex we have been saying, and what all the apex can do. And we also talked about like various scenarios. What is method? What is the argument? Now we know all that, right? And we talked about the highlights of the apex, and we also talked about data type. So primitive data type and the collections, and we are going through the primitive data type. We are extensively seeing what is integer, what is string, and all that. So there was a question in the last class. Okay, so this is for another batch I took, tower maps. Okay, close this. These are all the lightning stuff. All right, so let's log into the Salesforce. Login.salesforce.com. All right. So in the class, if you see, now we know how are we creating a class and all that, right? So this is what we were talking about. Like, this is your class. This is how we say public class. Okay. We declare the class and we declare the variable, and this is called the data type. And we initialize the variable, and we know the method. And then we are passing an argument to the method, and then we are returning the method. So there was a question like, any data type can be having the return type. Yes. For example, let me change. That was a question from Jatin, I think, in the last class before we ended. He was asking. Yes, it could be any data type that we can that we can pass. It could be primitive data type, it could be list, or even it could be other data types. I'll be talking about other data types also today. Okay, so we are just printing it and then return I, right? For example, I'm just declaring another variable called string name equal to, always it's in single quotes. Okay, test an example. I want to return the string. You're manipulating something, and then and then you want to return the string. In that case, what do you need to do? The return type will be string. This method is going to have the signature of return type string. That's all. But in this case, it's going to throw an error. Duplicate variable name. Okay. Do we have two names here? Yes. Okay. I can say like, name val. Okay. And then it says illegal conversion from integer to string, because you have to return the string, but you're returning the integer. So illegal conversion. We can typecast. But we'll be talking about the typecasting later. How to cast from integer to how can you consider the integer value as string, something like that. Okay, we'll be talking about that. Okay, now we are having the return type as string. We have to have the return type as name val. This is the string, right? We are returning the string. So I saved it. When you're calling the debug open anonymous window, this is the training one, training object to name and all these things, right? Object one. Now you know how to create an object, how to instantiate an object. This is called instantiate an object. And it's the same class. You're creating the objects from the same class. This is the class. The class is a collection of action and its data. This is action. You are printing the data. That's an action. So it's the same way, like flight reservation, or it could be a student attendance. Like, if you want to collect all the all 30 days of in a month, get reports. You can pass the student ID and then you can go and fetch it from the database, right? So anything is, so basically I want you guys to learn what is class, what is variable, how can we declare a variable, how can we initialize the variable, what is method, what is the signature of the method, what is an argument, what is the return type. Okay, when you have the return type, you have to return that particular value. And you can have multiple methods in the multiple actions in the same class, meaning flight reservation. Take an example, you can check the flight status, you can book a new booking, or you can create a new booking, you can fetch the existing booking, you can cancel the reservations, all those things. But each of it will vary from the argument. Like, this is the method. I even created two methods of the same name, but which has the different arguments. So which means that these two are technically different, but though they have the same name, we are passing a different argument. The signature is completely different. So for example, flight booking, you're creating a new booking, you will say from where, who is the passenger name, passport number, all those things. To get the existing booking, all you need is the confirmation code, right? So the argument will change based on the action. Okay. So now if I'm just calling this method, right, print data, and one is returning nothing, the other one is returning the string. Okay. See here, this is having the integer. It will throw an error message saying that object1 dot print data, you're passing one name, but you're returning the string. Here you're declaring it as integer. When I try to execute, see here, illegal assignment from string to integer. You're expecting the string to integer, you converted, illegal assignment. You cannot have string to integer. This method has to return only integer. All you need to do is to just change the data type. And this is just a variable. It could be Karthik, it could be Srinath, it could be X, Y, Z, A, B, anything. It's just a variable. Okay. I'm putting like string as int val and I'm printing the int val. Now, if you see here, it's taking time to load. Let's see. I think it could be my internet because I don't have anything in my local. It's all in the cloud. Let's see. Okay. Long running operation did not complete. Continue in background. Okay. You don't want that. Let's close this. Okay. I saved this. Debug. Open execute in anonymous window. Okay. Debug only. We can print the debug statement. See, this is my second method. Okay. When you look at the code, whatever printing, this is my second method. So what is it calling? I'm creating object 1. I'm creating object 2 from the same class. These are all the variable declarations. Initializing the variable, declaring the variable as string and then initializing it. I'm calling only object 1 dot print data name 2. So which is going to call the object data with two names. So it is going to call this method. And then this is the one that first printed. This is my second main program, method program. This is my second method program. Okay, this is clear. The next code will come here. It is calling the print data by passing only one argument. What argument is that? Name. Name has the value as Srinath. It's going, and then it is calling this method. Name is coming. It does like all these things, integer declaration, I10, J20, K equal to this, and all these things. It is printing the name. Where the name is coming from, it's an argument, and then we are printing it here. So Srinath is getting printed, and then my value is K. K, what are we doing? We have already two integers, and then we are summing, we are adding, we are totaling. The total is going to be displayed here 30. That is why we are displaying Srinath, my value is 30. And the third one is, see, okay, the third one that is printed here is, all it does is it's returning the value. It calls, this is the caller, this is the calling. This is the calling method, and he is the caller. He's calling this guy. Give me 1 second, guys. I have to pick up this call. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry, yes. So we are calling this is the caller. He's calling this method, and then this could be any logic. This is exactly is happening in the background. Whatever the Salesforce is providing, they are providing all the default functionality, right? They will have all the logic, and when you're writing the code, you have to just call their method, and then method signature needs to be matched, and then you're going to get the output. See, if if the same thing, this is the fundamental of the programming. Okay, if you catch this or if you caught this, you will be throughout your life, you can do any type of coding. This is the logic. So for example, employee ID or student ID that goes here, it does some operations, manipulations, and then it returns something. For example, it could be how many days he is absent, how many days he is present. It could be like what is his name, what is his date of birth. Everything could be written here. But we cannot give it in not just a string, right? We could give entirely as an object. The next step, I'll be going advancing in the next step. This is the primitive data type, integer, string, or it could be the float or long or anything. Because with a decimal, if it's a decimal, it's called float. Okay, those are all the primitive data type. The next one we'll be talking about is the collections. The collection of information, how we can get. I can't get just only Jatin or Srinath. I need to know what is his employment, where is he working, what is his SSN number, or what is his address, and what is his phone number, how many years of experience. I need to go have the whole collection of this information. So you cannot just pass in one string. It has to be something else, right? We'll be talking about the next thing, advancing that. Before that, I got some chat message here. Let me take a look at here. Yes. Question. I'm ready for the question.
Yeah, Karthik, we are writing the code here, and there is a pop-up page here, enter Apex code. So enter Apex code is something like a test class, right?
This is not a test class. This is just for our unit. Okay, okay, let me explain you here. In the Salesforce terminology, the test class is something different. Okay, the test class is nothing but the unit testing that needs to be performed by the developer to make sure that my test is working or my code is working. So you will go and create file, new Apex class. Okay, when you're creating the new Apex class, for example, let me take it as test class or something, and then you will annotate it like this at test. You will annotate it. Then this code will get executed with the sample data. So that is what it is called as a test class, where you can go and always have new run, or the failed test you can see, or these are all the test classes. Okay, you can rerun the test class and all these things. This is in terms of the Salesforce world. We'll go through all these things. Okay, what is the test class and everything. This one is just about the enter Apex code window is to call your Apex class anonymously. Okay, this is just for the developer purpose. In the developer edition, they are providing a little window to call or to test, or anything you can say. But this is not the unit testing. Okay, this is the test class. To test your class, you can call it, which is fine. But that has nothing to do with the unit testing. Unit testing is something every developer needs to do to make sure his code is completely covered. And code coverage, see here, this completely code coverage is there, right? It's none. So we haven't done any unit testing here. Let me see if I can open the existing classes that I have took, right? Let me see if I can find one test class. Okay, not here. Open classes. Training test one as an example. Let's see. Open. I think I have the test class for test convert, temp convert test, something like that. Yes, see here, I'm annotating is test. Every method has to be annotated as it is test, is test. You're not having like public or anything. We'll come back to that. Okay, when you're writing the test class. This is the unit testing. If you see here, this is the test class, right? If you see here, the original class, open. I must be having something called temperature conversion. Yeah, temperature conversion, right? See here, all test is 100%. All test passed. Because, okay, you don't get confused since you asked this question. I'm explaining you, but this is a separate class, separate session I will be taking. How to write the test class, what is unit testing, because this is one of the primary features that every developer should know. You also need to write the code. So see here, I am writing my code, 4 lines of code. Now you know what is class. This is the temperature conversion class. What it does, it has only one method. You know what is method now. All it gets is as an input as Fahrenheit, and then it's converting to Celsius, and then it's returning the Celsius. That's all it does. Okay, what does it return? It's returning the decimal. The decimal is nothing one which comes with a floating value. Okay, that is why I'm putting like a decimal. Decimal is another primitive data type. Like we saw integer, we saw string. Similarly, we have the decimal. Decimal is one of the primitive data type. Okay, and then it's returning it in the decimal. Okay, the decimal is a number. All right. So this is the class. For this, I am writing the test class. This is the test class. What am I doing? I'm testing, for example, test the normal temperature. I'm passing 70. What is the value it comes? It should come 21.11 Celsius. I know what the output should come. I'm checking is this method is giving. When I pass 70, the value should be 21. When I pass minus 10, it should be minus 23. Or when I pass just 32 Fahrenheit, it should be 0 Celsius, right? So I'm checking if this is coming, and everything. When I'm executing this test, if this is equals, if the value is equal to the Celsius that is returning, which means that my method is working correctly. If you see this method, it's same method. I am trying with a different combination. I'm trying with one negative value. There's a possibility that Fahrenheit might be in negative. There is a possibility that Fahrenheit might be more than more value, so that you get 100 degrees Celsius. There is a possibility that the Celsius will return in the decimal value, like with a floating value, like dot something. There is a possibility that 0 can come. I'm testing all of this in the test class. So if the values are equal, if the values are coming correctly, which means that my code, this is the main class that I wrote, working perfectly. Because I know when I'm passing something, this is the value that I'm expecting, and then it is coming correctly, and I'm checking. Okay, system.assert means it's like this equals, this argument needs to be equal to this value. This is the value that we are getting back. Okay, in that case, this is the test code. When you execute this test case or test code against the Apex class, your Apex will tell how much code has been validated here. See, all test has been passed. Even when you're clicking on all test, it's highlighting in blue color. That's the power of Salesforce. See here, it's highlighting in the blue color. I'm not doing anything. I'm clicking here now. My cursor is here. Your blue is there. Blue did not change. Meaning every single line of code has been tested. That's what it means. Okay, because your test class had called and then it get tested. Okay, this is about the test class. We have a separate session. Okay, this is about unit testing, like how you can click a new run, or like how you can run all the test classes, how you can create a combination of various test classes into suite, which is a multiple test classes can form a suite and all those things. Okay, this window is provided by Salesforce just to call your Apex class and test it, or to see the output. That's purely for your development. Okay, now we're able to get the difference between test class. I don't want to take you in a wrong direction saying that, yes, Jatin, this is to test and this is the test class. Okay, this is not a class at all. This is not a class at all. You cannot say this is a test class, because is this a class? No, we did not declare anything called a class. This is a class, public class. We have the class methods, but is this a class? No, this is not a class. So this is just to provide the virtual, or to simulate, to execute your code. It's a simulating window to execute your code. Does it make sense?
Yes. So I have one more question, Karthik.
Sure, go ahead.
we have a code here, and we got a pop-up page here. And if we don't write all these and we directly go to execute, so will the values get executed?
If you don't write any code here like this, I took it out, you can click on execute.
Yeah.
No, it will not get executed, right? I mean, what is it going to execute? In this case, like, what is it going to execute? No code is entered. Okay. Enter the Apex code to execute it. Because here, see here, I'm having training 2. I'm saying that, hey, create an object of training 1, training 2. First object I created from training day 2. Create the second object of training day 2. And I'm declaring. So my target is not to talk about the temperature here, not to talk about the test class here. I'm talking purely about, okay, only our class. We need to initiate this class, or we need to validate this class. We need to fire up this class. How do you fire? You need to create an object dot method name. How do you fire? This is the one you need. But here you're not even testing anything. If it returns the wrong value is getting printed. If it returns the correct value is getting printed. This is just a simulation. The reason why they're having it is, for example, I create another class, right? I have like hundreds of classes. Each class can call each other, right? I can even go and say, like, inside this method, I can even say like class name, object name. Okay. So that class will be referred here. Okay. So when you do all sort of things, when you start your development, you don't have to do all this. You can start with how do you trigger, or how do you initiate, or how do you fire up your class. That's why they are providing this Apex code. Anonymous window. When we say anonymous window, like for example, debug, anonymous window, which means that it does not have any class. Nobody owns it. It's anonymous. Open execute anonymous window. You're executing it from nowhere. Does it make sense? And if I have this test class, if I go and write one more method here, public void test method 1, and if I'm just going to have like training object or anything like that, then I know that this class is triggering the training object. I know that this test class is triggering the training object. Here, this is not a class at all. This is just an anonymous window to fire up and then validate. You are just, whatever you are writing the code, this will get executed. Otherwise, maybe I have hundreds of classes. If you see here, file, new, you know how to create the Apex class now. Open, open the existing class. This is a class that we're talking about. And I have like hundreds of classes here. Which class it will execute? You have to specify what are the class that you're going to execute or anything. Only then it will fire up. Otherwise, it will not fire up. Just to test your, or like fire up your code, you cannot. That is why I don't want to put your wrong terminology here. Let's say test class. Test class is something different in Salesforce. Okay. Does that answer your question, Jitin? Okay, cool. I got your message here. Cool. And it will not get executed. Okay. All right. The another one I thought of telling you is, okay, now we have seen the primitive data types of integer, string, and we'll be seeing like decimal. And all of these primitive data types we'll be seeing as we progress through. Like Boolean. Boolean is yes or no. Okay, yes or no means like 0 or 1. If it is true, it's true. I mean, either you can mark it as true or false. Okay, Boolean. All those primitive types we'll be writing more codes. Okay, in the classes coming in. So we don't want to just explain the primitive data types. I don't want to just go and write a piece of code. Now you know what is a primitive data type: integer, decimal, string, Boolean, all those things, right? You can just as we progress through the codes, everything will come in together. Okay. Now we are going to the next step of data type, which is called the collections. Okay. Any questions so far? That's why I'm just taking it very slowly to make sure that you're understanding the concept here. That's what more important. When you start writing your code, you will make yourself confident. And I'm telling you that, nowadays when they're interviewing, they're asking to write at least like, one piece of code just to make sure. So just make sure that at least you write 2 classes per week, or like 2-3 classes per week. Just create one class, print the data, create an argument, print the method, pass an argument, print it. Then you know how it's working. You will get a confident. You always, though you are working on other platforms or other regular job, you always please practice and have hands-on ready. Okay, that will give you more confidence. Just 15 minutes, that's it. If you have an issue more than 15 minutes, that's okay, just shut it down. Next day, when in the morning spend, or like in the evening, spend 15 minutes to take a look and see what the problem is. Okay, that's all you need to do. It's very interesting, and the job market is very good. All right, and you can make more money. All right, the next one, we are going to talk about the collections. From the name itself, we can identify what is collections. A collection is a group, right? Okay, a collection is a group. So when we're talking about, before I want go here, I want to just tell that primitive data types, right? Primitive data types. What are the things that we'll be seeing? We have seen about integer. We talked about string. Now you know how to concatenate the string. When you just put a string, see here, this is very cool. When you put a string, right, this is a string, right? Value is coming, and the name value is string or whatever. This is the name value. You just, it's a class. You can abbreviate it. You can find the length. You can find the character of A, where it is located, and does it contains, like, does see, this is what the whole idea is. Everything is a class. Even a string is a class. See, we declared an object. We created an object from the string. See here, string. This is an object, and then we gave the value to the object. Exactly this what we did. Remember, this is, you don't have to create, because this is the static context, whatever it's available. So every class will have the variable, right, and the method, right? For example, this is the string class. String class has these many methods. These many methods it has. You can do anything. You can say that, okay, string dot trim. If you feel that it has the white space at the end or at the first place, you can trim it. When you trim it, it is going to give you back the same string, right? This is the return type. That is what this method is, and then return type is. Okay, and this is telling what you need to pass, what it will return. Okay, you need to pass the string and it will return the string. Okay, that's what it tells. You can say that why is it two string? No, what you need to pass. This is what you need to pass and what you get back. Okay, for example, let's say, let's take one example. Okay. Okay, is numeric. Is your string is numeric? You are checking 1, 2, 3, for example. It will check. You pass a string. If it is numeric, it will say yes or no. That's what it is. Boolean is. Okay. You are saying, is my string, you are having a string variable, right? Name val. Is name val blank? Because you need to know all of this. It's not that you need to know. When you write your program, you need to know the art of coding. Like Jatin wrote a piece of code. Hey Karthik, send me the student ID. I'll give the student progress report. He wrote the logic. This is the logic. I'm calling it from here, and I'm passing the student ID here. What happens if the student ID is empty? If I'm passing it with just white space, even you can have this name 2 as this is a string, right? If I pass name 2, what happens? There will be no student name or student ID like space, right? So even before that, I need to make sure if, so these are the conditions. I'll take it. I mean, the next class will be talking about the conditional statements, but I'm just telling you, yes, if name 2 dot is numeric, You can identify is numeric if name2 is numeric, and then you can call the, or you can pass this. Otherwise you don't have to pass this because it doesn't make any sense to call the method, right? You can do that. Okay, or Jitin wrote a code here, the logic here, right? Somebody is calling, they can even call with anything, xyz space white space number, they can put anything whatever they want, right? You process your logic only if name dot, it's calling like is numeric, or is everything is uppercase, or is everything is lowercase, is alpha numeric. For example, is it blank? You can check here is blank, and then you are saying that okay, is blank of, you're passing the string name, and then it is going to give yes or no. If it is yes, do not pass. For example, I'm writing a pseudo code here. Okay, yes, do not progress, else write all your logic, right? So is blank, whatever the name is giving blank is yes, otherwise you can put not. If it is not blank, then you write all your logic here. Everything is same. If it is blank, do nothing, because I said like is blank. Now I'm saying not is blank. If it is not is blank of name, then you write your logic here, otherwise do nothing. So these are all the conditional checks when we will be talking about it. But the concept here, what I was about to tell you is you can have methods, any methods can be used by the string classes. That's what the concept is. Were you able to follow me? So that's when you put like string class, the class has these many methods. Does it contains, you can say like, does it contains this word substring? If Jatin contains EITHEN, or if Karthik contains ARTHI, it's going to tell yes, it contains. You can even say, does it ends with this letter? Does it ends with this letter? Ignore the case. Last letter, ignore the case. Right? You can do all sort of things. Okay. And also like, see here, is not blank. I just wrote a pseudocode there. It's not blank. If it is not blank, it's going to give yes. Okay. If it is not empty, then move forward. Is numeric. You just, but you can check all of these things too. Does it has a white space? It's just a white space. Do nothing. So otherwise it's going to hit the database and it's going to throw the exceptions, like saying that, oh, I don't know any student ID which has nothing. There is no, I couldn't find any student ID which has white space, right? But that is not the best way of coding. That's not a better practice to coding. You need to handle it before you even progress your code flow. So you know that, okay, I'm checking. Okay. The reason is that, okay, take a simple scenario. You are a vegetarian. You are going to the restaurant and there is a buffet. Okay. When you go and look at it, you see, oh, okay, is it a chicken? No. Then it's good for me. I can eat this vegetable, beans. Okay. And you want to make sure that you are eating a dessert. Then you don't go to the non-veg counter and take a chicken and see, and still you see that, is it a dessert? Oh, it's not a dessert. Okay, keep it. I don't do nothing. Then you go to the dessert counter. Oh, okay, is it a dessert? Then I can put it in my mouth. So it's like a conditional check so that it gets progress. Your code gets proceeded with no exceptions or with no errors. Okay, you can still pass, but you know there is a chance that the empty value might come. If you don't check, empty is going to there. Empty is going to be passed, and then it is going to return null value, or it is going to return empty. When you pass something, you're going to get something against it, right? Your action is performed against the data that you have. That's what I was explaining you, that what is a class. A class is the collection of actions and the data within the class. If you give confirmation code by mistake, wrong ID, you are going to get a different flight details, the flight status when you want to check. Only if you give the correct flight code, it is going to give you the current status of the flight, right? So because it's a mission, it's a program, it only works based on the logic. You need to have a grip on your logic to make sure that it should not drop the ball when you write a code. Okay. So everything is a class. So each primitive data type will have its own method where you can see, you can even find the length. For example, Like I'm just returning the length, right? Returning the length is, okay, for example, dot. I'm just having the length. Length, you're passing the string and it is going to give you the integer. Okay, see here, it is going to give the integer. Name val, what is the length? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, does it work? It's not going to work because you're returning the string here. Okay, let's see what it works. See, this itself is throwing the error. We did a lot of mess. Let's check it out here. This length, okay. Line number 7, missing this. All right. In this way, I always teach in this way so that you can do a lot of debugging, and lot of mistakes we need to make. A lot of compilation code errors should come. We always learn from the errors. If everything is working perfectly and if I'm just copy pasting from somewhere, it doesn't make any sense to me or you, because everything is working. Then what are we going to learn? So things, as much as it fails, then it's good for us when we are in the learning phase. Only then when we do the development, we don't make much mistakes. All right. So public string name at 7, it is throwing missing semicolon. Okay, just let me save it. Okay, variable does not exist, training. I did too much mess, it seems here. Okay, all right. Annotation does not exist, test. Okay, I think it's still compiling. These are all the annotations which I wrote before. It is still saving. Let's see, it's still saving. Okay, it got illegal conversion from integer to string. Okay, line number 12. Okay. So let's take a look what's going on here. Illegal conversion from integer to string. See, you are trying to return the integer, but you're having the return type at string. So you have to change this to string, or if you want to return the length, you have to change this to integer, right? We want to return the integer. Now let's see. See, that is gone. Okay. Now where is the test class? Oh man, all these errors are coming from this guy, test class. Okay, let me just, I'd like to save without saving it. Yes, I don't want to save it. Okay, now I don't have any error. Okay, now I'm returning the length of this thing. What is going to be the length? Let's see. This is going to return, the length is going to return the integer, because Salesforce itself is providing the what you need to pass, because you do not know they have it something called length or night, right? So you're having a length and they're saying, hey guys, pass the string. Your output will be, return type will be the integer. Okay, you're just clicking this and then the integer, and then you're passing this integer here. Okay. All right. Now when you execute this, see here, illegal assignment from integer to string. So your return type is integer, but you're printing it as string. That's not going to work. Let's change to integer and try to execute here. These very simple things. See, it's returning 4. Why it's returning 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Test is a 4 character name val, and then I'm printing the length of the variable, the length of the string variable. What is the length? 4. That is why it is printing the value as 4, right? So what I'm telling is, I will not be able to teach you all the method that is available. Okay, or like nobody will be able to teach, because it's an ocean. So when you progress through, like we don't have to go and learn all the methods. Nobody knows in the world all the methods. Okay, so when we should understand that, okay, everything is a class and it has its methods. We can use them, and it has the return type, and it has the string or the whatever the argument that we need to pass, and it's going to return. That is the whole idea behind. That's the concept. Does it make sense? Now I simply put the length. Now I was able to calculate the length. So these things must needed. You might create a page where you want to allow the users to allow only 500 characters. So when they keep typing, you can call the Apex class and see what are they typing. And before they submit, you can validate if it is, what is the length of the text that you don't want them to put like 100,000 characters and then saving the form and complaining it. No, right? So you can do all sort of things. We'll be advancing to all those, but the concept is this. Yes, of course, we should know the logic to write a code. Why are we writing the code, and what are the things that we need to validate? Yes, what are the cases that we need to handle? That is why we define the document. Like, what is the design document? What is the requirement document? What is the low-level document? What is the high-level document? High-level document. The low-level document will have the method name. What is the argument? What is the return type? Everything will be documented even before the technical lead or architect will give you, because we need to get documented, make sure that this is passed, because we can catch as much as errors and the requirement when we do this kind of design, when we are gathering the requirement. Does it make sense? The overall concept of class, object, variable, declaration, initialization, how to print it, what is the argument, what is the return type, everything. Awesome. So this is the backbone of all your programming. Okay. All right. The next thing, am I going too faster? No, right? Am I going too slow? Just give me your honest feedback. Whenever you want, you can stop me right now and tell that, hey, I don't understand. Repeat it. Okay. Or okay. So we have seen like integers, and we even saw like the decimal. These are all like, we have another primitive data type called date. If you want to specify the date with time, you can specify. You can see the Boolean. So for example, the Boolean, let's see, we can do one Boolean. Okay. System, okay. My value is, instead of K, I'm going to check. It's empty. It's an example. We have to pass the string. Okay. Okay, the static method cannot be called from, called from the non-static context. Okay, this is not the this is not a static method. So this is the non-static method. So we cannot do that with that. Okay. This is the non-static method. Okay. Then I have to change this to the static. Public static. Okay, I have to create an object. Okay, so let's not get confused with the static. Static is totally a different class. So let's make sure that we'll take in that area. Okay. I don't want to make this a string. Okay, let's not make any changes here. Let's move forward, and then we'll be progressing through, and then we'll go through all the primitive data types. Okay, I don't want to make more mess. Otherwise, we will not be move forward to the next step at all. We'll be stick with the same thing even today. Okay, so string. Okay, date, time, and decimal, string, integer, and all those things. Boolean will be going through when we write piece of code. We'll be going through the Boolean also. Okay, all right. The other thing is very important thing. We are going to talk about the collection. What is a collection? We all know that a collection is not a single value. A collection is a group, right? Whenever we say collection, hey, do you have I do have my stamp collections, which means that you are not collecting only one stamp. You are having a bunch of stamps. That's your stamp collections you're having, right? So similarly, when you're saying collections, it's a group. It's not just one string, it's a group. Okay, so what are the collection objects that you can have? So the collection objects that we can say is like list, set, or map. Okay, these are the things that are available as part of the Salesforce. Like when you say a collection, it could be list. Some people call it as array of strings. It means multiple strings. Okay, the array of primitive data type, array of primitives. Say for example, the same thing. Let's come back to this logic here. Okay, I'm passing the student, I'm passing the class ID. Hey, class ID is, like for example, the people who are studying in 7th grade has the class code as 1672. Let's take this as a scenario, the real-time scenarios. Grade 6 for studying has the class code as 1672. Grade 8 like combination of integers. No, it's not a combination of integers, strings, decimal, date, etc. No, you cannot combine the primitives. You can only have, if it is an array, you can only have one data type. I can only have 1,000 strings in one array. I can only have 1,000 integers in one array. I cannot say one array, because when I declare an array, I tell what type of array is that. Is that a string array or an integer array or a Boolean array or a datetime array or a decimal array? All the primitive types can be put inside the list, right? Array. Okay, you cannot put one integer, because the system will not know. Behavior, how do we handle that scenarios? For example, I said, right, Srinath or Jatin, I want to have his SSN, it's a number. I need to have first name, string. I need to have his last name, again string. So I need to collect his address. I need to collect his zip code. So if you need to get all those things, now that comes into a picture. Your question, it's a collection of data type. How do we handle that, right? Because when you're collecting the information about Srinath, or when you're collecting the information about Jatin, it has all the information, right? His gender, male or female, it will be like, like a Boolean. And his SSN will be number. His first name will be the string. His zip code will be the number. His date of birth will be date. We need to have all of this. That we need to handle the next level. Now we are talking about only the arrays. I'll talk to you about that. Okay, this is just only the array of primitive data type, specific primitive data type. Okay, you can ask them, what is that? How do we handle that? Okay, I mean, let me not keep it as like, it's not a big secret. That is called the object. So now that will answer your question. Now you know what is object, right? Say for example, you go to the object manager. You have a contact. Contact is, for example, contact could be like the record. Contact record could be Jatin, could be one of the record. Karthik could be one of the record. Srinath could be one of the record, right? When you go you get all the fields here. See, you have the contact birth date, that is the data type. Okay, contact email, that's an email data type. Fax, that's a fax data type. And that is the phone number, phone data type. What are the languages he know? That's a text. Okay, what is his is it pre-qualified, or what is his loan amount? That's a currency data type. So you have the combination of various data types, combination, mixing, or combination of various, those can be handled as an object. At the same time, you can still use the array. The array can hold multiple objects. The array can, it doesn't mean that array can only hold primitive data type. Array can also have the object data type also. Okay, we'll be talking about it. Is it clear, guys? I can take it slow, but I just want to make sure that you understand everything, every single piece of information that I'm saying. Is it clear? Okay, cool. So, array has class code of 1745. Okay. Now here is the requirement. Hey, I'm passing this class code that needs to give all the student information or all the students' first name. Okay. How do you handle? You have to get the collections, right? The collection will be a list of all the string values. Collection will be the list of all string values. Okay. Let's take a, I don't want to put object here. Object I'll take in the next class, but this is just about the collection. Let me give you, excuse me, let me write a piece of code. How do we handle the collections? Good questions. That's why we are able to just talk about various scenarios, various real-time use cases. That's when we are telling the real-time use cases, you put your thought process. Okay, this is how it's working. That's all. Because this is the initial like 5 classes or 6 classes will be like, this will be little things to capture or get it. Once you get it, everything will be talking about only in the Salesforce world. Hey, I'm getting the account object, I'm getting the contact object, I'm going to get the information from contact that is associated to the account object. I'm going to get bunch of objects and everything in the array. So in that case, you will know at that point of time, you will know what is array and everything you already know. So it will be easy for you to just do the hands-on coding. Okay. Everything is like putting into the database, getting it from the database and writing your own logic. That's all the life is all about. Not just the Salesforce, it's all any programming language. You know your logic, you know the syntax, store it, or you get the store information from the where it is stored. That's all. Okay. If you take it that light, your programming will be very cool. Okay. All right. Let's take a look here. Okay. Let's write a simple array class. Okay. Let me write one more method here. Public void print list. Okay, I'm just making it up. It's a print list. Okay, all right. Here I'm declaring as list. This is the list is another data type. Okay, data type. This is a collection data type. You know what is this primitive data types. Now you know what is the collection data type. I told you list can have only one type of object, all string, all data, or all object or anything, right? I'm saying that this list is going to have only string, because you have to define what is that it can have. Okay, it can have integer or string or anything. Okay, but the entire list will have the list of string values. And then I'm saying, for example, names. Since it is a more than one name, I'm putting names equal to new list. That's it. If you see here, these are all the primitive data type where we don't create an object. Okay, integer I, j, k. That's all. These are all the integers. If you see the list, names equal to new list. Now you know what is the new operator. New operator is nothing but to create an object. We have already seen our own custom object. This is a class that we created from the custom object. So the list is a class and here is an object. That's the difference between the primitive and the collections. And you have to say you're creating a new collection object. Does it make sense? Now, when I'm writing this code, this will be very easy for you because we already have gone through this. Class object equal to new class. The same thing. Class object equal to new class. I'm just telling this string, this list will have only of type string. That's all I'm saying. Okay. And then, is it clear so far? Any questions? And I'm saying that, for example, okay, I can say names dot add like Karthik. Names dot add Jatin. I'm just stacking it up. Names dot add Srinath. I'm saving this. And I'm saving, I don't get any errors because I'm declaring the list. This is the declaration of variable using the data type list. And it is going to have only string. And then I'm going to have the values added to the string because this is a list, right? Add. That's an add is a method where you can add a new value to the array or a new value to the list. I got some text message here. Let me read it here. I was asking for this. Yes, but you can give me an example by replacing names with the object just for once. Yeah, cool. I was asking for this. Thanks. Okay. So this is the one, right? So that's how we add the name. Here I'm hard coding the value Karthik, Jatin, Srinath or anything. For example, if you want to get it from the object, you loop through it and then you can add it here. Okay, when you're talking about the conditions and loops, you will understand. But this is just I'm adding it. Okay. Now let's see how can we get the value from it. How can we get the value from it? Okay, that's where we're going to talk about iteration. Okay, iteration or loops. One of the statement that we have it for the iterations or loops is the for. Okay, you say like starting for integer equal to for integer I equal to 0. It starts with 0. I less than list dot size. We saw the length, right? Similarly, the list also has its own size. The size could be only, in this case, the size could be like if it is 0, 0, 1, 2. Okay, or totally it's going to be 3. Okay, I need to calculate the size. I don't want to go beyond that size. And then I'm incrementing the value I plus plus. So for example, think of this. It will start with, the counter starts with 0. And then the counter starts with 0. And then it's increased I equal to like it increments by 1, then 1, and then 2, and then 3, and everything will come. Okay, what I'm saying is I'm just going to print system.debug. I'm going to say name, right? Name is the list. Getting the names out of my list. What I'm saying is, this is the concatenation. This is just a static text concatenation, you know. I'm saying names dot get or you can even say like, you know, I can even say, okay, the names, you just give me the value of whatever the names that I have it. Okay, this is to get the elements from the list. This is a for statement. Okay, I'm explaining you one more time. I created a list, simple list variable, data type is list. I added everything, and then I want to, you saved everything. How do you retrieve the data from the list? You need to you stacked it up, you pushed it, you pumped the data. How to get the data out of the list? You need the counter, right? That's why it's called iteration loops. Counter needs to run. Counter starts with, this is the counter syntax. For is one of the counter or the loops. Integer I equal to, you need to declare the integer I. I is nothing but a variable. You can have J, K, Karthik, Srinath, anything. It's a variable of type integer. It starts with 0. And then I'm saying how max it can go. I don't want to go up to 100. If I less than 100, it will go 100 times. If it is 10, it will go like I less than 100 times. In this case, for example, if it is I, it will be like 0 less than 10. It will give the Boolean value. Yes, 0 is less than 10. It will go. And it will go one more time. And it will change to 1. 1 less than 10. Yes, it will go. 2 less than 10. 3 less than 10. 4 less than 10. 5 less than 10. It will go up to 10 less than 10. No. Condition will fail. Then it will come out of loop. We don't want to do all this. Instead, what I'm doing is, integer I equal to 0 is I. I is the 0. Current value of I is 0. Less than size. So it goes only, we don't know the size, because this size might get added. Today we have only 3 values. Tomorrow it might be added with 2 more, 7 more, 10 more, 100 more, 1000 more, 10,000 more. In that case, you don't have to change your logic. It calculates the size and the counter goes only up to that size. And then counter is incrementing by 1 by 1, and it is getting the value of 1 or everything. 1, and the next time 2, 3, 4, whatever the size is, you just put it here to get the list. Is it clear, this piece of code? So it's good that I covered the loops a little bit and also the new collection, and we talked about extensively about the primitive data types and all this. Perfect. Now I'm going to call the print list. Okay, I'm going to call the print list. We already saw all this. I'm just going to call the same object, object1 dot print list, because this is not returning anything, so I don't have to worry about the return type. Okay, it's going to print list. It's going to call this, and let's see what is printing it. This is getting inside, and this is printing it out, spitting it out. Okay. Okay. Now, what we're saying is, okay, so I did not even save the code, guys. That's why I see here the star. Mostly I do this method mistake. See, I did not save it. If you don't save it, you see only the star. Okay, you have to save the code. Saving it now, you won't see the code. You star now, because whatever the changes you made got saved. Okay, see, we are making mistakes and then we are learning. Good. All right, so see here, Karthik, Jatin, Srinath, everything was printed. So it's coming as 0, Karthik, 1, Jatin, and then Srinath 2. So all the 3 values. Even if tomorrow more values are added, everything will be printed here. If you don't put it in the counter loop, every time you have to hard code name of 0, name of 1, name of 2, name of 3. Instead, I'm putting it in the loop. It's an iteration, iterating the data. Does it make sense? So this is about the data of the list. Okay. So now we know what is class, method, argument, and all other default classes, methods, and how to iterate and everything. Okay. So in the next class, we'll be progressing towards the object. What is object? What is the other collections? I do have another collection called set or map, but the concept is same. Adding the data and then getting the data. The only thing is that this list will be ordered. It could be ordered in sense alphabetically ordered. It will be like an unordered list, or this is like whatever you put, it's coming back. It's not, there is no shuffle. It's not shuffling. Okay, whatever you put it back, it will come back. What you get seen, it will come back. Yes, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Karthik, in the line number 23, instead of Karthik, if we add some numbers, will that
yes,
get it out?
Yes, it will work, because anything inside the single quotes is considered as string.
Okay,
that's what I told you. I told you, right?
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Because to the Salesforce, this is a string now because it's inside the string. Okay, but if you just take out the, okay, let me tell you. Let's make it clear. And then I'm executing it. Then it's printing the value. See here? Because you're saving it with the single quotes, which is a string. And in case if you take out the string, that's a different story. You're putting the integer into the name. Okay. It's then saying illegal integer at line number 23. You cannot put the integer here because it's meant for string. In case if you make it integer, this works, but this will fail. 24 and 25 fails. Method does not exist or incorrect signature. You cannot have this add in the string. And if this matches, this also needs to match. You need to have everything as integer, because okay. Does it make sense? Cool. Okay, with this, I'm winding up today's session, and next class we'll be talking about a little more advanced about the arrays, and then we'll be starting the objects. And also there is another one data type called ID. I'll also talk to you about the ID, because I just want to get you hands-on with all this. Hope you guys are enjoying my session and getting all the concepts. The concept is more important. I don't want you to mug up or anything. Concept is more important. Any programming language, the concept is more important. Okay, then we'll be progressing more, and then we will quickly get into the more advanced concepts. Got it? Thanks, guys. I'll be sharing the recordings. Okay, thank you. Bye.